No matter what crops were raised on them, most of the slave plantations of the American South tended to be laid out in a similar fashion, patterned after the grand aristocratic estates of Europe. On a plantation, the owner's home, the mansion house, was always the biggest and most beautiful building. It was usually surrounded by a vast expanse of lawn and well-tended gardens. Adjacent to the mansion house, it was typical to find a much smaller overseer's workplace. This was the combined home and office for the man that oversaw the day-to-day operations of the plantation. The slaves lived in rows of simple cabins like these. Often the slave cabins were built near the driveway to the mansion house, so the owner could impress visitors with his wealth. For slaves were very expensive, and a strong young slave could easily cost over $1,000, which was a great deal of money back then. It has been said that southern plantations were much more like small towns than big farms, because there were so many people living and working in so many different buildings on their grounds. For example, in addition to the numerous buildings in which people lived, there was almost always a separate kitchen building where slaves prepared meals for the owner's family, a smokehouse for making ham and bacon, a schoolhouse where the children of the owner and overseer were taught, an assortment of barns, stables, and gardeners' sheds, several workshops, a grist mill for grinding grain into flour, and many special buildings where slaves processed the crops after they were harvested, such as this sugar house, where sugarcane juice was boiled down, barns where tobacco was dried and packed, and the buildings where cotton was cleaned and baled.